Hello and welcome back to another Walking Dead video, and today we'll be doing my ranking for the top 10 best deaths we got on The Walking Dead. And remember, this is just my personal opinion, and I'll be ranking them on how well the deaths play out, the effects of the deaths, and how unique these deaths are in The Walking Dead. Now let's move to my honorable mentions, and we have Merle, and he was almost on this list because his death was very much finishing off his arc. And we have Sebastian because his death was just so satisfying, having everyone just stand around and watching him die. At 10th place is Bob, and he died because he was bitten, and then to make it way better, he was captured by the hunters and then cannibalized. And then we got the iconic tainted meat scene where Bob really gets the last laugh and shows the people who've just been chowing down him that they've been eating walker meat, basically. It is so iconic and such a unique death, and it deserves to be on this list for how impactful his death is for characters like Sasha, moving the Rock forward for maybe like 2 seasons. Sasha doesn't really get over him to the end of season 6, and his death really stays with our group for such a long time. And in 9th place we have Spencer being gutted by Negan. This is one of the few times The Walking Dead adapts a part of the comics 1-for-1. They even shaved Negan's beard to make him look like comic Negan more for this scene. It's just such an iconic scene, and one of the best things in the entirety of season 7 to have Negan playing pool with Spencer, walk up to him, say you got no guts, and just rip his guts out. And you get the monologue at the end where he's saying how wrong he was. It is just absolute perfection, and definitely the best part of that season outside of episode 1. In 8th place we have Jarad, and this is the most satisfying villain death we have ever got in The Walking Dead. This guy has been a thorn in Morgan's side for almost 2 seasons, and he's the reason that Morgan basically snaps, and he just dies in such a gruesome way. It is just so satisfying to have Morgan pin him against a chain fence and have walkers just eat his back until he dies. It is almost as gruesome as Noah's death, but with 10 times more satisfaction because everyone hates him. We have this built resentment for this character, and it pays off so well with him suffering so much with his death. And at number 7 we have Laurie, and her death was the biggest change they did to The Walking Dead at that time, because if they followed the comics, she would have survived until season 4. Her death was about her basically giving her life so that Judith could be born. It massively progresses stories for Carl and Rick, and it really shapes the rest of season 3. It is such an unexpected good death, and it deserves to be on this list. Abraham is at 6th place, and his death is the payoff to the season 6 cliffhanger, and a good one, I might add. His death is filled with little moments like him saying peace to Sasha, which is their way of communicating, and the iconic suck my nuts scene. Abraham was strong to the end and taking Negan's bat like a champ. It is just a shame that his death is really overshadowed by Glenn's, and everyone remembers that episode for Glenn's death and not his. At number 5 is Rosita, and her death is one of the most badass deaths we've got in The Walking Dead. She falls into a walker horde, and she goes full mama bear, knocks out all the walkers, and then just climbs up a sheer wall just to save her kids. However, she gets bitten, and we get one of the best little final moments with Rosita, with Gabriel and Eugene saying goodbye. The only issue I have with this death is going to be that it feels a bit out of place in the Commonwealth arc because they're adapting Andrea's death from the Whisperer arc. It is just one of the most emotional deaths we have got on The Walking Dead, and it deserves to be here. Shane will have to be in 4th place. His death at the end of season 2, being stabbed by Rick, is just so well acted, with Andrew Lincoln and John Berthel basically carrying that episode, and maybe even the entire season. They're carrying it, built up to this one moment where Rick finally steps up as the leader and takes out Shane. It is such a big moment for the character progression of Rick, and the most memorable part of this death is that Shane is the first person we see turn into a walker from death. Shane's death is so important to the story is because it confirms Rick's knowledge that if you die, you turn. In third place is going to be Hershel's death, and this death is filled with so many emotions. It was such a shock death, and it is the iconic Tyrese death from the comics. We get the amazing scene from the governor, liar, and then slicing his neck with Michonne's katana, and this death really shows how the governor is too far gone, which is what the episode is really about, and it shows how Rick has changed, and it leads to this epic battle. And because of Hershel's death, it really moves everyone in such a different way. Like, Rick loses his mentor, Maggie loses her dad, and because of Hershel's death, everyone really loses the heart of the group. Hershel was the heart of the group in the early seasons and the core, and with Hershel's death, it really changed the group forever. And at runner-up, we have Lizzie and the iconic look at the flowers scene, and there's no way this couldn't be in the top 2/3. It is just one of the best episodes of The Walking Dead, in my opinion, The Grove, and to have Carol do it really progresses her story so much more. And this is just a massive stepping stone to Carol becoming a more hardened survivor, losing yet another surrogate child. And at number 1, we have Henry and the Pike deaths. This is my favourite death in The Walking Dead for how perfectly it is built up to. The entire episode has this eerie feeling, and it's building up to this big moment. Like, it starts off all happy, and then you get this little foreshadowing, people going missing, and it all combinates in this big moment with the music like soaring absolutely perfect, the acting on peak, and then the bit where Daryl realizes, runs over to Carol, tries to shield her, and then we flash back and we see Ezekiel, which was what we thought was gonna die, and then it's like, oh no, it's not Ezekiel, bam, Henry. And you're really in that moment. It is just so perfect, so well acted, and it is one of the best moments also in The Walking Dead. The death of Henry and all the Pikes is really the last shock of The Walking Dead, because after this moment, The Walking Dead never really was a shocker. It never really peaked like it did with the death of Henry and the Pike scene. And that is my list. So please tell me down below, do you agree with my list? Or if you disagree, I'd like to know your list of the top 10 best deaths in The Walking Dead. It'd be very interesting to see some very different opinions down there. And if you want more Walking Dead content, please make sure to like and subscribe to help out the channel and keep up to date with everything. And make sure to go to the top right and click on the top 10 worst deaths in The Walking Dead. But this is it for me today, so goodbye, peace out, and I'll see you in the next video.